Let me pull up my Goodreads so we can get into it. Welcome back, or if you have not been here before, hi, my name is Gianna and I am kind of obsessed with books. So I don't know about you, but I have a hard time committing to series. There are simply too many books that I want to read. So something that I love is duets or duologies, a boom bam, thank you ma'am kind of situation. If you want some recommendations that you may have not heard about before, let's go into duologies that I would recommend with my whole chest. Duology number 1, The Best Kept Secret Duet by Candy Steiner. If you want something angsty, if you want something with a crap ton of yearning and a bit of a love triangle, I would highly recommend this duet. We have our FMC who is currently married, but they are having a rough time. She was in love before with her childhood best friend neighbor situation. And excuse me, guess who shows up while she's in the midst of her like horrific relationship at this point? They are not communicating. They are not a team. Her and her husband are just kind of strangers living amongst each other in their house with a lot of like disappointment, tragedy, some bad things that have happened to them. She's a teacher, okay? And guess who shows up at this school as the new teacher? The boy that she loved in her childhood is now here. So they are off to rekindle this flame while she's married. There is a bit of a cheating trouble. Don't hate it until you read it, because the yearning and the tension, I was going back and forth. I want her with her husband. No, I want her with this guy. I'm sorry. Like, they were both fighting for her love and I was here for it. It had me flipping, well, technically I was reading on my Kindle, so it had me flipping the pages quick as heck. I think I read this duology in like 3 days. The yearning and the back and forth and like the grittiness of like, I want you, you deserve better, yada yada. Girl, it had my heart in my butthole. I'm not gonna lie. I was stressing the entire way through, but I love this duet. I don't hear really anyone talking about it, but it deserves so much more hype. If you love the angst and yearning that we got in A Love Letter to Whiskey, just read this, because to me personally, I think this is even better than A Love Letter to Whiskey. Another duet. This one is severely underhyped to the point where this is criminal. This is the Soulful Seas duet by Blake Black. It is Whisper Waves and Ocean Echoes. And let me tell you, never have I ever thought a Why Choose romance would make me sob and cry and feel so many things. If you are turned off by Why Choose, I can tell you, you are going to love this one. I'm kind of like over like the smutty romances at this point because I simply get bored. This is not that. This is more emotional. This is deep diving into found family, people that are lost, that are just seeking solace in one another. Okay, listen to this little synopsis because I go in blind to all my books. I don't know about you. It says, your deceased loved ones are only a whisper away. They're still here, still with you, even though you cannot see them. Unlike me, I can see them just fine. People call me weird, crazy even, but I only want to help the souls that are trapped in between and the loved ones they leave behind, until my good intentions get me locked away and leave me broken and traumatized. So much so, I swear to never talk to a spirit again, but a road trip through the country, driving away from a home that has nothing left for me, and a night spent in arms of tequila helps me find something to embrace in a strong, handsome fisherman with ocean blue eyes. The same ocean blue eyes his 3 brothers have, including the one who is a ghost. He needs my help, but can I leave the shadows of my shackles behind to ensure he will find the light? Babes, I need you to read this. Our FMC is kind of traumatized from her past. Her grandma just passed away. So in order to kind of start anew, she takes a trip across country in her little van. And she ends up at this seaside town. It's very scenic. Like, you are getting the ocean waves, the boats. So she finds these 3 brothers and she starts to form a connection with them while she's working. And at the same time, someone keeps visiting her, but he is a ghost. But I'm telling you, this is not like the hoo-hoo, ha-ha, funny, there's a ghost paranormal romance. This is an emotional, I need help, save me. The plot twist in this, I lost it. I was sobbing, and then I was like sobbing happy tears, okay? This will wreck you and then put you back together. It is the most beautiful story. Them all coming together to just be happy because everyone is kind of lost. But our FMC does speak to loved ones that have passed. And you see it a few times within the book. And it is like the most heartbreaking and heartwarming thing ever. I'm going to cry thinking about it. And there are audiobooks for this that I would recommend because I read these on my Kindle and then I listened to them because I was so obsessed with the story. But if you want to Why Choose Romance, but make it emotional as heck and just a gorgeous story overall, read this. Speaking of paranormal, let's make it dark and a vampire hunter. And this is the Hunting a Vengeance duet by Jess Wisecup. This is Feathers from the Sky and Thorns from the Fall. If you need another audiobook recommendation, listen to this one. This is a true enemies to lovers to enemies to lover. We're going to go back and forth a million times and it will have you saying, what in the F? Like your jaw will actually be on the floor with this one. Let me read the synopsis of this because it's been quite some time. Gwen, or FMC, is kind of just like lost at the moment. She has a shitty boyfriend. She's kind of just in like a bad place in her life at the moment. And then we have our MMC, who is a vampire, and his brother was killed. And he is searching for vengeance against whoever murdered his brother, and somehow ends up seeking out our FMC Gwen. And she's like oblivious to what the heck is going on. So they are very much enemies because her bloodline comes from vampire hunters and he is a vampire. They have this undeniable connection. I don't want to say too much about this, but just know that, yeah, this is very much like a cat and mouse type of situation for the majority of book one. But then you're left off on a cliffhanger, and this cliffhanger is diabolical. You have to immediately go into book two. There's no doubt about it. Just know that this back and forth is wild. The dynamic of our FMC, you just see her coming into her own, and I love that for her. But I do love our MMC a lot in this one. He is like the sweetest baby angel. This is just a wild ride, but if you want something that is spicy, gonna put you through every emotion in the book. A curvy FMC who kind of comes into her own, finds her place, and you are just left shocked. I didn't see this twist, but maybe you're smarter than me and you will see it, but this one is a banger, and I do not see it talked about enough. Another duology, this is the Guardians and Monsters. If you want a utopian society, also paranormal with werewolves and vampires and humans, I would highly suggest this. This is Xantera and Veridel. I'm probably saying those really wrong. This follows our FMC who is in this utopian society, and this is run by kind of like a cult of vampires. Everything down to what the humans eat, what they drink, their occupation, who they're housed with, like their significant other, everything is planned and told to them. They have to follow these very strict guidelines, and they're being told that they follow these guidelines to protect them. There's this ginormous wall that is around this society, and the vampires are saying that they're protecting these humans against what's on the outside of these walls. And on the outside of these walls, they are the hottie patati werewolves. So one day our FMC is really starting to question what in the heck is going on. Now I'm thinking there's something shady going on. She puts this necklace on and all of a sudden she's hearing voices in her head. Miss Ma'am is not going cuckoo. She is hearing the voice of the werewolf on the other side of the wall. And I am telling you right now, the tension between this werewolf and her FMC before they even meet had me giggling. I was loving life at this moment because what do you mean? I can feel the tension between these two and we have not even met each other. We have not locked eyes on each other. This was so fun. Book two, it takes a turn. She wants to get out of the wall. There are some plot twists, but if you want like a little bit of fantasy, a little bit of paranormal, heavy on the romance, this has everything you want. Okay, this has everything you want and need, and I would highly recommend this. A duet that everyone and their mother has already talked about, listened to, heard about is the Cat and Mouse duet by H.D. Carlton. This was my introduction to dark romance, and I simply am not the same. My brain chemistry was forever altered after reading this duet. Zayd Meadows is top tier psycho book boyfriend. I don't think I really need to speak much on this because everyone has probably already read it, but this was my first stalker romance. This is my first dark romance, and I was honestly hooked from the beginning. The vibes, the house that was like gothic vibey. It's just so perfect. If you want something that will rip your heart out, have you in all your feelings, you'll kind of hate every character, but then also love them. It is the Torment Duet by Dylan Page. This is a motorcycle gang, a romance-ish kind of book. Our FMC, from a young age, her mom marries into a motorcycle gang. She kind of doesn't know it until it's too late. And her mom are stuck in this really not so great situation. And essentially her FMC is groomed to be her stepbrother's person, like his safe space, step siblings. They're living under the same roof. He is completely controlling, but let me tell you, he is a product of his environment. So his dad is the one kind of calling the shots and leading him to be the certain way. It also deep dives into mental health in a very interesting light. It is just so emotional. It is one that just sticks in your brain for a long time after you read it. And there's a song that I cannot listen to without thinking of this duet. It makes me want to cry. This is definitely one that I wouldn't recommend to everybody though, because it does blur the lines of a lot of things, especially with our MMC, of the things that he does, the things that he says. His actions are unforgivable, but you still feel for him at the end of the day because he is a product of his environment, but he also has things going on that have not been addressed that should have a long time ago. But it's kind of just too late. And our FMC is just trapped in this situation. It gets really sad. This does not have a happy ending either between the FMC and the MMC, just putting it out there. If that's not your thing, I would definitely skip this one. September Doves by Emerson Hoyt. I still have to read book 2, but I already know it's going to be a banger, so I'm just going to put this recommendation out there. Let me read the little synopsis. It says, Riley is a struggling college student desperate to reconnect with the only family she has left, who's her sister. She finally has her chance when a late night phone call sends her rushing to Eden, West Virginia, a small mining town with a veiled past. She arrives ready to console her grieving sister, but instead discovers a distant, secretive woman who she hardly recognizes in Colton Archer, tattoo-covered troublemaker with a knack for pushing her buttons. As Riley battles her growing attraction to Colton, who is as infuriating as he is handsome, she comes face to face with a shocking discovery that has her questioning everything. When danger closes in, she must decide what rules she's willing to break for the ones she loves or risk losing them. Okay, so I compared this to the Ravenhood trilogy when I initially read this last year, because we have the small town. So our FMC, just like in Ravenhood, goes to this small town to reconnect with somebody from her family. Her sister just lost her fiance. He was unalived. And she wants to console her. But when she gets there, she realizes things are really weird, really mysterious. She doesn't really understand what's going on. And when her sister gets together with the people in town with her to kind of like say their goodbyes, things are weird. She notices people are like off to the side talking, small town vibe of like people holding secrets for some reason. So this girl is like, I need to get to the bottom of this. But then there's Colton, this like really, really hot tattooed man who is really mysterious and kind of like an ass. Everyone that I've recommended September Doves to, they've immediately gone into book 2 and said, stunning, 10 out of 10. So I know I'm going to love this. But if you like the Ravenhood trilogy and you are just craving that same kind of vibe, go read this. Last duology, The Rolling Hills Ranch by S.A. Ashbourne. Okay, if you want an apocalyptic setting, why choose? Our FMC is a baddie cowgirl. I would read this. It says, in wake of the zombie apocalypse, I thought things couldn't get worse. Struggling to survive in a world turned upside down, I'm haunted by the loss of my parents and the recent disappearance of my twin, Holden. I can't shake the feeling that everything's on the brink to fall apart. Just when I'm about to lose hope, 3 strangers arrive at Rolling Hills seeking help and refuge. They bring more than just survival skills. They bring a glimmer of hope and a sense of normalcy I haven't felt in a long time. But this was such a good time because we normally see the cowboy badass one as the MMC, but the roles are kind of reversed where she's kind of in charge of this like sanctuary place that she's helping people survive in this zombie apocalypse, and she's kind of like, she's the girl in charge. Her goal, though, is to, at the end of the day, she wants to find her brother. I'm not going to say more than that, though, but some of these spicy scenes between her and the MMCs, yeah, pretty dang good. But those are some duets that I would recommend if you have not heard of. Go add them to your TBR. So that is all for me today. If you want to see me anywhere else, my links are below for my Goodreads. You can see what I'm reading on Goodreads, my Instagram, and my TikTok, and anywhere else will be linked below. But that is all for now. I will see you guys next time. Bye.